Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. So the waiting room's open. We'll get started in just a moment here. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Samantha, Steve, Charity, James, Eric, Baker, Arnie. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Looks like we still have some folks popping in. We'll give it just another minute. Okay, let's see here. Looks like the waiting room has settled a bit. All right, well, we're ready to go. So welcome everyone to our Catalyst Live webinar today with our premium partner core commissions. Today, you're going to learn about 5 must-have reports for easier, more accurate insurance commissions. We have Kurt Phillips, Chris Kingsbury, and Sarah Calvin with core commissions here to share with you today. As a reminder, we are recording today's session, and you'll be able to access the recording on demand in our Catalyst Live Vault on catalyst.com. We do invite you to put your questions into chat or Q&A. We're going to do our best to save the questions for towards the end so we can make sure we have plenty of time to go over the reports. And we really want this to be an interactive session, so questions are encouraged, and we are going to have some polls as well that are going to help drive some of the conversation for us as we get into things. Let's see here. I think we'll go ahead. Chris, you were going to kick us off here and do a little bit more of an intro to set the flow. So Chris, please go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Appreciate that. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Kingsbury. I'm an account executive here at Core Commissions. I do a lot of these demos, presentations with Core. So I'm excited to walk through different aspects of the system. Where our primary focus is going to be on reporting, but we are going to start with ingesting data into the system so we get some context as to where that data is coming from. So that's the plan here. Talk about that, then go over the different reports. We're going to have some fantastic poll questions as we go about. So please answer those as they pop up. Yeah, and I'm excited to go. I'm excited to share my screen and really start this presentation. So without further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. So like I said, we're going to start by looking at the data we're pulling into the system. This is from the perspective of an insurance agency, right? We want to pull in those carrier statements, pull in that data, and then we're going to be utilizing that data for our various reporting tools. We have 5 reports teed up for you all to see, and we're going to go one by one. But first, let's talk about the ingesting data side of things. Let me just organize my other page. Yeah, so for many agencies, there's really 2 important aspects of tracking commissions, right? The first one is going to be that data consolidation, managing all the different streams of data from the different statements, the carriers, just wherever that data is coming from. And then the agent reports is the other side of that. Like I said, we'll start with the data consolidation. This will be kind of a brief, abridged version. As in our last presentation, we kind of went into this a little more deeper. But like anything we discuss here, if you do want further information or would like on a more custom demo where we can talk about this, please let us know. But we're going to talk about that data side first. So I have the data pulled up that we're going to be importing into Core. This is what it looks like, this data. It's already been cleaned. We're already ready to pull it in, but you can see the type of data we're pulling into the system. This is just an example of what that data could look like. With Core, we have multiple types of mappings available in the system as well, so you have multiple streams of data. You can manage that pretty easily. But this is going to be the type of data we're pulling into the system. To pull that data into Core, it's actually a pretty easy process. I'm following the carrier statements data source, going over to the right-hand side to import that file. And from there, all I have to do is drag and drop the data directly into here. Like I said, there's mappings available. So if you have multiple streams of data, multiple carriers you're managing, all you'd have to do is just find the corresponding one, and Core would know how to map that into our system directly.
So it does that cleaning right when you import, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and so that's the import process there. Just like that, it imported. Like Kurt mentioned, there is some cleaning tools available as well. So if it was missing a field, maybe there's an agent it didn't capture, whatever the case is, Core would flag that and then let you know how to clean it, and then you would update it with as you're importing, all directly in the import function. Once that data is in core, all you have to do is click the run cycle, and that's what's going to calculate the commissions. It's going to calculate the commissions. It's going to generate the reports. It's going to do everything that leads us to this presentation, right, of getting that data into the system and talking about those reports. So that's it. That was all we had to do. Click that file, drag and drop into the system, import it in the core, run the cycle, and we're good to go to talk about the reports. I want to start here with our first poll question of the presentation as we talk about the reports. That poll question being, how quickly can your team produce individual commission reports for your agents when requested? I do see this now. I'd love to vote, but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to vote. So yeah, that's going to be the first poll question we have. So hopefully we'll be able to see those results soon. Um, yeah, as I'm looking here, yeah, these are multiple choice as well, so you'll be able to choose which one hopefully kind of falls under that response you're looking to have. Um, so there's a lot of different type of individual commission reports when we're talking about this. Um, and the one we see most often in the case is going to be that detail report. Right, because there's other different types of one. A detailed report can show each policy line by line for that agent. So they can see exactly the commission they're earning on it, the rate they're receiving, and other important values located on there as well. Um, I will show that first report here as we're switching over to the report. I'm going on this reports page within Core. I'm going to choose that detail report that we're going to be looking at first. This first report, this detail report. The important thing about any report that we're looking at in Core is they are all customizable. So if you want to add columns, remove columns, you can. We're taking that data we imported earlier and utilizing it in these reports, as you can see here.
So just to expand on that a little bit, Chris.
Yeah.
When you hit that processing button, it took that raw data and it put it on all these reports automatically, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the admin doesn't have to do anything besides run the commission cycle, and it's going to generate these reports, right? So instead of spending hours, days running macros, running VLOOKUPs, whatever the case is in Excel or other system you may be using, it's just a couple clicks of the button in Core, and you get these reports ready to go just like that. In this particular report, we're grouping by the policy type, this being new commissions. If I scroll down, we'll see renewed. It's also being grouped by the agent or the agency directly, but we can group by any field in Core, right? If we wanted to group this by carrier, we can do that. By product type, we can do that as well. And the reason why we can have all that functionality in the system is so also we can include subtotals, where you could see potentially at the end of the report or at the beginning of the report, where that agent could log in and see their data directly here, the commission types they earn, the subtotals for each of those groups in this report itself. There's also some ways to get this data out of Core, right? If we're generating these reports, the first one is going to be downloading the report directly. Not only the admin, but also the agents are able to directly download these reports they receive, either as a PDF file or as any other format you can see here. But we also have the ability to email these reports out. So if the admin wanted to generate these and then email them out immediately, all they'd have to do is click this email button. It pops up here on the to line. They can choose who it's getting sent out to. And Core is going to automatically break this report down so the agents can only see their own data. Right, you can see here the viewable include account only. So when the agency account logs in, Amanda, Angela, anyone logs in, they're only looking at their own data. They can't see anyone else's, and that includes being these emailed out as well. Yeah, like I said, these are customizable. You can email them out. However, for some of these reports, if there's splits on these, if you have multiple agents on these reports at all, it can be a little bit more difficult in this view to track that, right? You'd have to find that policy number and then find it for that other agent. So it's important to have a report that also shows the splits, right? To show each policy and the splits that are within that policy, which leads us to our next poll question, which should be available for you now. How easy is it to see who earned what on a shared policy? Within Core, we do have a report we already built out that does that. And yeah, in that report we call commission splits by policy. So we can open that up now and view what that looks like within Core. So we already have that detail report, right? It shows the policy by policy with the relevant information, but we also have a report like this one, commission splits by policy. It's really important for an agency, if they have multiple splits, if they offer that, to be able to show that, not only for auditing purposes, but also just to make sure that commissions are calculated correctly, right? So this is the report that they can look at. Each row shows the individual agent on this policy, which you have that information up top. This is also customizable, just like the detail report we saw earlier. If you want to include more information in here, you can, but you're able to group, to sort, and to do anything you'd like within this report. And still you can download it, email it, whatever is needed. And also the admin chooses whether or not the agent can see the other split on this policy. So what I mean by that is if this agency, this first agency, we didn't want them to see the other splits on here because we didn't want them to know their commissions for whatever reason, we can set this up so that agency can only see their own information. Otherwise, we could also have it built so they can see all the splits, right? It depends on what the admin wants to be viewable for those reps, those agents directly in Core.
Look at the results from the first poll.
We can, I think Lauren can share the results of the first poll.
Yeah,
if we
I
kind
moved
of
on.
Go back.
Yeah, I moved on pretty fast. Yeah. Yeah. So before we talk about the results of the second poll, yeah, Lauren, what's the results of that first poll?
Yeah, absolutely. So no one said within an hour. Within a
Wow.
day was 40%, within a few days, 50%, and within a week, 10%.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to track with our experience of different agencies we have. Yeah, the within an hour is primo, right? Of getting those reports out immediately, generating them immediately, which is why we wanted to focus that on Core with importing that data, running the cycle, and now we have these reports. Okay, so we got one out of the way. What's the results of that second poll question?
Absolutely. So about a quarter said easily, I can see commission splits instantly.
Nice.
38% said somewhat easily, it takes a few clicks or reports. Another 38% said difficult, I have to manually piece the information together. And 0% said I don't currently have visibility into commission splits.
Nice. So it looks like everyone has at least some visibility, which is good, right? It's just more about how easy it is to access that, right? Which is why we wanted to have a report such as this, where you could open up Core and see this immediately for each policy, search on that policy as well, and group however needed. So yeah, that's awesome to hear that with the splits. Okay, let's just taking a look at my notes here. Nice. So, so far, the two reports we looked at, more of a detail, line by line, right? Each policy individual within that report. But for some of our admins and a lot of the agents we work with, they want more useful information beyond just policy detail, right? They want more information about the company as a whole. Maybe they have quotas or attainments they want to track within the system. And for that, we have solutions as well. So that's going to lead us to our next poll question. That question being, how easily can you track growth versus customer churn across your book of business? For that, we actually have a dashboard. We're going from reports to dashboards here. And that dashboard is called the Business Overview Dashboard. Right, we're still taking that data we pulled in from Core, but now we're utilizing data that we have throughout the whole year in this dashboard as well. Right, it's taking that current data we're looking at as well as the entirety of the year. This demo build is set up to be run in 2025, which is why we have all those figures here. So you can see this company and how it's doing over time. Right, knowing these important values, these variables, these KPIs, they're very important to these agencies to be able to see this data directly within the system. In this dashboard we have like net policies over time, right? You can see new versus canceled to get that net balance, and also see if the company is pulling in more policies versus losing them, directly on this dashboard. But we have other useful information. On the left-hand side, the payroll, which has the total commissions for everyone in this given month. Other useful information such as product type, below here on the bottom left. Then other useful commissions tracking tools as well, is all available directly in this dashboard. So just like reporting, these dashboards are completely customizable. They can be downloaded, they can be edited, they can be utilized in any field within core, to get this information and push it across, right? Whether it's that product type, whether you're actually tracking states or zip codes, whatever sort of information we want to track to get us more insight into the company, insight into the agency to see how we're pulling data in and how that's leading to policies or lack thereof. So I am curious now, Lauren, do we have the results for this poll? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, absolutely. So poll number 3, so about 20% said easily, I can view growth and churn metrics anytime. 40% said somewhat easily, the data exists but takes effort to compile. 20% said difficult, multiple reports or systems are required. And then another 20% said we don't currently track growth and churn effectively.
Gotcha. Yeah, that almost sounds like a pretty even split there amongst those, which is interesting. But yeah, so that's something within core that we can track. Yeah, like I said, we're just using that invoice, that carrier statement data, pulling it in here, and to utilize that information to track this data. So yeah, it is important to track those, especially the churn, because then you can also set up quotas to make sure you don't surpass those churn values. All of that can be built out within core, so that admin can quickly see this information, at any time. It is also important to note here, because this is more of an admin side of reporting tool, right? That within core, we can also set up permissions. So the permissions allow the admin to choose who can see what dashboard or report within core. So if there's certain dashboards that are more useful for the admin, they can make sure that only the admin can see those. If they want everyone to see it, they just click select all, and then everyone can see that. But you can see we can also group by specific fields, for those agents. So if you have certain groups or positions that only want to see certain reports, we can build that out in core as well. Great. So now that we've talked a little bit about those KPIs, growth, churn, and that useful information, this is going to lead us to our next poll question. So that next poll question is going to be, regarding renewals, more so than growth or churn. So the question we have there for that poll is, what is the biggest challenge with renewal reporting? So that challenge with renewal reporting, we have those ones listed, tracking upcoming renewals, measuring retention rates, that tracking, for renewals is very important within core. So we have one built out for that as well. We call this dashboard the upcoming policy renewals. And this upcoming policy renewals dashboard, is just looking at all the policies that we've pulled into core, looking at that expiration date, and then using that expiration date so we can see when they're expiring. You can see for this demo build, there's a lot expiring in May, which is tough for us because we're already in June. But like I said, this demo date only goes from 2025. So this company could see ahead of time, hey, in May, we have a lot of these expirations coming up. So we want to make sure we track those policies, and know when they're expiring so we can reach out to them, make sure they're not lapsing or anything that could affect those policies coming through. What I also like about this dashboard is up top, we also have just a grid where a list of those, where someone could search up policy number. They could look at specific carriers if they wanted to. If they wanted to group by or sort by those policy expiration dates, they could see, okay, these policies, however many there are in February, I can track those, look at those, and then just go from there. And as an admin, we also have a list of agents. So if we want to look at a specific agent, to see any of their policies that are upcoming, we can do that here. So we can click on Amanda and see, how many of these policies for Amanda are expiring coming up.
And can you export that panel too?
Yes, you very much can. right? So if we wanted to just look at those February ones, all we'd have to do to download that data is sort by that group on February, and then we just click this button here, and we can export that data as an Excel or either format available. Let's grab everything again. Oh yeah, so that's the upcoming policy renewals. I'm curious, Lauren, do we have the results for this poll question as well? And if so, what are those results?
Yeah, we sure do. So the biggest challenge with renewal reporting. So no one said tracking upcoming renewals.
Good.
About half said measuring retention rates. A quarter linking renewal commissions. And then another quarter is other. If you do have something other as your biggest challenge, it would be great if you could throw that into chat. We'd love to hear more and maybe even dig into it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if we don't get to it right now, if we see it at the end, we'll definitely talk about it and answer that question there. Okay, great. So yeah, that's has to do with the renewals, the commissions thereof. So this leads us to our final poll question and the final report that we're going to focus on here in this presentation. And that final poll question is, how often do you have discrepancies with carrier payments? The reason why we wanted to ask this poll question in particular is because by far one of the most requests we get when we have a new agency coming on board with core commissions is the ability to reconcile payments with carriers to what those statements say as we're importing that data into core, right? Matching those commission payouts with the carrier payments that come through, right? It's important. We don't want to pay out what we're not getting paid. It's important to reconcile those values within core. And so that's something we want to build out in the system. We are going to go back to the reports for this one, but I do have a nice report that we can look at within core to show that discrepancy and also show how we could potentially find when a carrier is not paying us as much as they should or are paying us more than we should, which I don't know if I've heard of a lot happening of carriers paying extra. In my experience, it's usually the other way. But nevertheless, you're able to see what those balances could be. So here in this here in this report, we have a list of carriers that came through, all the ones that we're utilizing that information on. Then we're looking at the carriers that they totaled within core versus that deposited amount from those carriers. Right on the back end, what we're doing here is in core, just like when we imported those carrier statements into the system, we would have another data source where we could upload those check amounts, right? Those deposited amounts from those carriers directly. And this is how we would reconcile these differences, right? To see if that check that was deposited from Aetna actually lines up with what we calculated in core. And if it doesn't, we can see what that balance and that difference is.
So we would have an automated rule in core.
Yeah.
That would pull the data from the deposits and then compare it to the data on the carrier statements. And then push that onto these reports, so it's an automated process, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Just like when we would click run now to generate the other reports, the same would happen here, right? All of the reports in core are going to generate automatically when we run the commission cycle. We have all these rules built out with our robust rules engine that can track really any commission calculation available within the system. Yeah, and if we scroll down, we can also get a total balance, the total difference between the two, which in this demo builder having a tough time here. 11K is quite a bit of difference there. But you could look into this, figure out why that is the case, and utilize this report or other dashboards or other useful auditing tools. Because frankly, we see as auditing as almost always beneficial. The more auditing tools within a system, the better. And so this is another one you can utilize. So, Lauren, once again, for the final time here, do you have the responses to that poll question? And if so, what are they?
Yes, absolutely. Well, fortunately, no one said, as far as discrepancies with carrier payments go, that they're having this happen every payment cycle.
That's good.
And no one said frequently multiple times a month. So
Nice.
either everyone's doing great or maybe they didn't want to
Nice.
say, who knows? But it was about 50-50 between occasionally, which we said was monthly, or rarely a few times per year. So.
Nice. Yeah, so yeah, that's great to hear. So this report is a bit pessimistic, right? There's a lot here. It sounds like versus our poll. But nevertheless, they would be able to use this at any time and to see these answers or to see these responses. Not responses, to see the difference here between the carrier payments and what was calculated within core.
Thanks, Chris. And I just popped up, everyone should be able to see the full survey
Oh,
responses
nice.
for everything we chatted about. So
Awesome. Great. Yeah, thanks for posting that. So yeah, so those are the the five reports we wanted to look over in core. As a quick recap to what we went over importing those carrier statements, what that looks like. Then we went over the detail reports, right, where an agent can see a report by detail line by line policy information that's being attributed to them. We went over the split policy report to where an admin or an agent could look at all the different agents within that policy they're on. Then we went over the KPIs, the churn versus growth rates in that book of business dashboard. Then we went over the renewal dashboard to take a look at that report and what that looks like with upcoming policy renewals. And finally, we landed here on the totals versus deposited report, also available within core. Kind of the last thing I did want to touch on here is within core, the agents actually have the ability to log in directly within core and see their data that's only been given permission for them to see. Right. And so that's going to be the last thing we look at here within this demo. So I'm going to alias as a user. That's something we can do as an admin at any time. Log in directly as a regular user. And we'll do Benjamin here and we'll log in as Benjamin to see core from an agent's perspective. So you can compare and contrast what an admin can see and versus what an agent. And so you'll see on the left-hand side, there's a lot less access for Benjamin here. He can't see quite everything available to him. Only some reports and some dashboards available. So this is what Benjamin can see. If he opens up his date and account selection tool, he can look at various different date ranges that have been published, but he's the only account listed below. Right, a manager, when they're logged in, they could see their subordinates' names here and select them. But because Benjamin is a regular agent, he can't see anyone else's info. Nice. Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to show that is because it leads us over into one thing that we're providing here at Core Commissions is our Core Reporter program that we're offering. So if I scroll over, switch to a different page here to this flyer, the Core Reporter is what we went over today, where we're pulling data in directly into Core and then generating reports from that data. You can see here there's a lot of useful information, bulk report generation, individual payment detail reports, drag and drop report editor, essentially everything we went over today, the customization piece, as well as the ability to import data directly into Core, and then bulk email, generate those reports or download them directly into Core. We're running a promo right now. It is free up to 15 payees. I think we said the first 5 that sign up for this will give them access to Core Reporter so they can utilize our reporting capabilities you all saw today. And if you want to introduce more outputs, more useful reporting capabilities within Core, it'll be scalable so you can pay for that as you go, as you get more detail you wanted to provide within the system.
So for the first 5 respondents, the reporter itself is free, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right, Kurt. Yeah, the first 5 that sign up will get this access for free. Like I said, if they want to add more down the road, they can. And we would have that pricing breakdown for them as well. But for the reporter, where you just upload data and utilize our reporting capabilities, yeah, the first 5 that sign up, that would be free. But with that being said, I'm happy to open up for any questions that we have at this point. I wasn't able to kind of check the chat while I was doing this, so I'm curious if there's any questions that someone asked so far.
great. Well, thanks so much, Chris. I'm going to call on Brandon because he did have some questions for you.
Great.
Hey guys, first off, amazing presentation. So thank you guys so much for that. And if anybody knows Brandon, I'm horrible at commissions. My brain just does not work like that. So I love what you guys do and are able to do so. The question I have, I actually came from kind of the insurtech space in previous lives. And I'm looking on your website, I see a lot of great integrations, right? With kind gosh, ADP, QuickBooks, Salesforce. I even see one with Zywave. And so I think for a lot of folks out here, just what are you guys' plans on additional integrations with specifically AMS systems? I know a lot of them kind of live and breathe in their AMS, and to have that integration is probably a good question a lot of folks might ask.
Yeah, it is a good question. And the list of integrations we provide on our website is not a comprehensive list by any means. Right. So a lot of times what I'll say is as long as those systems we're connecting with allow for third-party integration, we're able to connect with those via integration. But that being said, there's other ways that we can connect with them directly. Right, we can do a database transfer, we can do an API, we can do that integration piece. Yeah, there's a lot of ways we get data into our system. And we're always happy to go over those and what it may look like to utilize core with those integrations. But the nice thing with that too is if we do have an integration set up, they can either be at the click of a button, like we saw with the commission run cycle, you click a button, it imports that data, or we can have it run on a schedule. Right, we have some of our clients who, at the end of the night, 11:59 p.m., that integration will turn on. It'll scrape the data, pull it into core, and even run the cycle for them as well, all in one step. So we have a pretty robust integration piece with the core, and we're able to accommodate essentially really any sort of integration that comes our way.
Love it. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Sarah, I didn't know if you wanted to put into chat if anyone, just the best path forward to contact you, if they wanted to take advantage and try to be one of those first 5 that you were talking about, that would be fantastic. Make sure we get that out. We do have a survey at the end. If we can put you in touch with core commissions, we'd love to do so. And we want to hear more about what you thought of this webinar, what else you might be interested in learning. So let us know. Certainly, please take a few moments to go ahead and complete that. Before I close this out, Chris, Kurt, Sarah, anything from the team?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to show you some of the things we can hopefully make your life easier in reporting. Appreciate it. And if anybody has additional questions down the road, yeah, shoot those over to Sarah. We'll be happy to huddle on it and get back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Sarah, thanks for popping that link into chat for us. I really appreciate it. Core Commissions, we appreciate you as a premium partner of Catalyst and the solutions you offer for agencies. As a reminder to everyone that joined us today, we are recording and we'll share a copy of the recording, which will live in our on-demand video vault on catalyst.com. And if there's anything that we can do to support you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at hello@catalyst.com as well, and we'll get you going the right direction. For everyone who attended, thank you. Chris, Kurt, Sarah, thank you so much. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please take care.
Right, thank you.
Bye-bye.